Well, I've opened my moulds up after a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks actually, of just sitting there. And I've now got a very nice fuse mould. I've still got to do a little bit of work to this, but I'll go over that in a minute. Nice sharp edges, nice finish on there. I have only got one little blemish, which is just in there. You can hardly feel it. What I think that is a bit of unmixed material that was sitting on the edge of the lip of the cup I was using to hold the gel coat, and it's just got on that surface and hadn't gone hard. But it's not a big deal. It's very minor, although it looks quite big on there. But after it's been painted, a quick rub with some 2000 and some polish would make that disappear. But apart from that, I'm really happy with how the moulds are looking. They're really nice, shiny. It should give me quite a nice part. I've got the slots there for the to put the threaded anchors in for the towel, to hold the towel on. I was going to use these and just grind a bit off the top and bottom so that they'd sit nicely in there and then splooge them in. But I was fitting a kitchen from Bunnings. Bunnings is a chain of hardware stores here in Australia. They're quite a big company. And I found these. They use these to hold their carcasses together. They've got holes pre-drilled in the front of the carcass. That bit sits through one side, and it's got another threaded bolt that goes into the other side to hold the two carcasses together. As soon as I saw it, I got quite excited, and it is exactly the same thread as what the little bolts that I had planned to use. So just with a bit of thing on the grinder, you grind the two sides off the bolt, and they'll fit nicely in there with a bit of splooge. And got quite a bit of thread on there, so I got no chance of the towel pulling off or that moving in the towel plane. So that's quite exciting, quite a good find, I think. I've yet to go and see if the bolt shop can supply me them or not, or I'll have to go through Bunnings, I'm not sure. But if you notice, I haven't actually got a canopy recess in here. I'm going to have to make one of those. And but unfortunately, when I pulled my plug out of the plane, it actually separated in half. Very unusual, because as soon as I got a little bit of pressure under the nose, the whole thing popped out anyway. So it wasn't really stuck. It was just not quite sure actually. It wasn't stuck, but it stuck, if you know what I mean. The rest of the fuse is pretty well intact. Or it did split down the centre, but I'm going to put that back together. It can go back together enough to do a joggle gasket, which I'll show you later anyway. But what I've got to do now is put these two halves back together. So I've glued my fuselage back together, and as you can see, there's a score mark around where I want the canopy to be. How I got that was I got a piece of paper, the shape of the size of the canopy that I wanted, and I double side taped that on there in the centre, and then very, very carefully went round with my knife, just scoring around the edge of the paper. And once I'd scored that a few times, I got my laminate cutter. It's got tungsten blades on the sides there, and it scores a nice line. And I followed the cut that I've done with my knife. The tip of it just sat in there nicely, and just very carefully went round and scored a line around it. It's probably about a mil to a couple of mil deep. And what I'm going to do now is form a box up around this area, because I've resprayed it, and it's all nice and shiny and ready to go. So I'll mould this area, and then from the mould I'll lay up a piece of another canopy out of the mould, which I will stick on the insides of here to form the recess for that canopy to sit into after it's moulded. Well, last night I formed a box up around where the canopy is going to go to form the mould. Put my blue tooling coat down and filled it up with my corian mix. So easy to make moulds like this. The mixture is still a little bit soft because I used a super slow hardener on there to stop it from overheating and cooking. So I'm just going to stick that out in the sun today, and by tonight that should be hard, but I'll leave it for another 2 or 3 days before I take it off.